Hello and welcome to HL7 FHIR Foundry. My name is Preston Lee, the architect of the infrastructure behind it. Foundry launched in May 2024 as HL7's hub for the discovery, evaluation, and installation of curated FHIR reference implementations produced by the community, as well as broader software products that are both compliant with FHIR and provide value to FHIR adopters. At first glance, Foundry provides a curated catalog of FHIR-oriented products. And while true, visual cataloging isn't the primary objective of the system. Rather, Foundry is about adoptability. It aims to dramatically accelerate FHIR adoption through high-quality RIs, turnkey integration examples, hands-on testing, and reducing barriers of FHIR adoption to the smallest footprint possible, all in a vendor-neutral ecosystem prioritizing standards, interoperability, and cooperation. Every tile in Foundry corresponds to a product listing. The product is a little abstract, but usually corresponds to either a single piece of software or content or a collection that is pre-wired together to solve a bigger challenge. Curators organize products via badges and searchable metadata. Our favorite submissions have three core qualities. First, they're actionable to those with minimal resources, as opposed to only the larger, profitable healthcare systems or payers that are able to afford large informatics teams. Second, they strictly conform to standards to maximize reusability in a default form. This is as opposed to publishing something that doesn't quite work out of the box because it always requires local modification to get started. Third, things that are compatible with other easily deployable standards-based products that fill any implementation gaps required for local adoption. This is opposed to catering only to third-party vendors or making it a hard requirement that use a particular third-party vendor's underlying components. Product listings include any links to source code when applicable, support, external references to specifications, wiki pages, test reports, project plans, event calendars, and so on, as well as screenshots and usage instructions. Product definitions apply to all versioned builds of a product and sometimes are published prior to any software actually being available. They also may remain available after the product software itself has been decommissioned or removed for security or other reasons. Evaluation. The most basic type of interactive product is one hosted by Foundry under an HL7 FHIR Accelerator Program partnership. These are typically RIs that are produced to meet the requirements of a FHIR implementation guide and their balloting process. In most cases, these RIs are hosted as shared public instances run under an HL7.org domain and are featured at connectathons, working group meetings, and other community events. These products have a large Try It Now button that links out to a shared public instance, again under an HL7.org domain in most cases, and are for demo purposes and anonymous access using synthetic data only. This is the easiest way to see an RI in action, though because they are shared public instances, may not always function as expected. Also note that Foundry does not host every single version of an RI, and may be more up to date than their last balloted specification. They are also not required to fully implement an IG to be live. Deployment. The top tier of product delivery is pre-integrated software stacks that you can download and run on your own computer or cloud environment. This requires developers to meet an incrementally higher level of publication requirements, so it isn't typically enabled when a product listing is first published. If you haven't used containerization software before, we highly recommend starting with Docker Desktop for Windows, Mac OS, or Linux and branching out when you feel more comfortable. For Mac users, most products will work on the ARM-based processors that ship with all newer Apple machines using built-in Rosetta technology, though testing on Mac OS is not a strict requirement for product publication. To use Foundry's product distribution features, just log in with your HL7 account and make sure you have a platform environment declared. A Foundry runtime platform is just a grouping mechanism or namespace for products you want to deploy as an integrated whole. It could be anything from your local laptop to a large cloud environment. There is no limit to the number you can define, and you can delete and recreate them at any time. Next, use the Foundry catalog to find the product or collection you want to try locally, select a default configuration, and add it to your platform. The system will automatically add any and all underlying product dependencies for you according to the configuration you select. For example, a given FHIR server product may support different versions of FHIR, but not at the same time. In this case, you may see different configuration options for the product to accommodate different use cases. It's also common to see different configurations that enable or disable certain sets of features. If you don't like any of the pre-configured options, just select the closest one and then customize it in your platform settings. With your product configurations added to your platform definition, most users will want to download a Docker stack or Docker compose file that will in turn download and run everything in a single command. Some products require additional configuration files that must be present in the same directory, and if required, they will be listed next to the download buttons. Assuming you have your container runtime software already installed, be it Docker Desktop, Podman, Kubernetes, or otherwise, it's typically a single command to download and start everything immediately on your own computer. With everything running, you can click through the instructions for every individual product for getting started information provided by the product developer. If you yourself are a developer, this is the point where you'll typically want to start disabling the pre-built images that you downloaded and work with the configurations of your own modified copy instead. For complex use cases involving many moving parts, this is typically the fastest way to get your hands dirty with your own customizations to RI software. The platform also takes things one step further by automating many of the above deployment steps, functioning as a controller to deploy your selections to an orchestrated container environment of your choice, typically Kubernetes. This is done through a piece of agent software run within that environment. These advanced features are currently disabled in Foundry and will be available in the future. All products are required to work out of the box and in a reasonable default configuration. However, whether that applies to you or not is a different story. In many cases, this requires the developer to provide seed data, such as a FHIR bundle, that must be loaded after the software starts up. We prefer the seeding of data after application startup to make it easier for you to customize your own distributions using your own data files. Some products may ship with a tool called a stack controller that provides buttons to load seed data, reset the environment to a default state, and provide links to the software URLs as running on your local computer. Over the coming years, Foundry's catalog will expand dramatically, both in the sheer number of product listings as well as the capabilities enabled by those listings. Additionally, FHIR-oriented content, be it CQL libraries, knowledge artifacts, resource bundles, or other computable artifacts, will begin to trickle in as the baseline distribution features become more established. For Foundry help and support, the links within the menu system address many common questions and issues, particularly for developers. For guidance on submitting your own products, start with the guides on how to package your product for distribution, as well as the submission checklist that will be used by the curation team. Once you're ready to start the submission process, use the self-submission form to notify the curators. Self-curation is not enabled at this time. For support, the Foundry channel on Zulip is the best place to start. You may also submit general feedback and questions using the link in the top menu, or feedback specific to a published product using the button within its product page.